Welcome to the Delvin Cox Experience, the podcast in which each week I am on a one-man mission to unite our culture through diversity. I'm your host, Delvin Cox, and with me, I have a special guest, somebody I think is amazing and does awesome work. Welcome to the experience, Mr. Ariel. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you reaching out.
Definitely. I heard you on my boy Mike Fowler's podcast, and he was like, you should definitely have him on your podcast. So I said, yeah, I got to make this happen.
Yeah, it was dope.
Definitely. As always, like to start the podcast off with the 5 for 5. 5 questions, 5 answers to get the ball rolling. You ready, Ariel?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1. What is the best album or song you listened to in the past year? Does not have to be new, by the way.
The past year. Yeah, see, the problem is I normally listen to stuff like when I'm out and doing stuff, but we've been inside.
Yeah.
I think I always listen to Forest Hill Drive, no matter what. So
that's a great album.
Yeah, it's like it's my favorite.
Do you think that's his best album?
See, the problem with Cole is that like he has to grow on you. Like I didn't even like Forest Hills Drive until like a month after listening to it for like a month. And then his next album after that, it took me like 2 months to like it. Yeah. Because the first listen I was like, but the more it's out and the more you like think about it, the more you're like, oh man, that was dope. Yeah. So yeah, I think Forest Hills is definitely his best one.
I like the one that just came. I can't remember the name of it right now, but that was really good as well.
Yeah, see, I feel the same way. See, it was too soon. Like it's too soon for me. I listened to it and I was like, it's okay. But I feel like 2 months from now I'm gonna be like, it's amazing.
All right. Question number 2. Give me your top 5 video game characters.
Oh, characters. Okay. I always get like video games, but people never ask the characters. That's a good one. I'll probably say I can't do an order because it really depends on like how you feel that day.
Yeah.
I would say Franklin from GTA 5.
I like him.
Not because he's black, but because like he's just like a normal guy in this super weird world. Like the 2 characters on the side of him and 2 extremes, and he's like just like one of us, just like in the middle, like what's going on. I would say Sonic, Joker from Persona, Mona from Persona. Dang, you got me on this one. No one's ever asked me like characters. I gotta look around to figure out like what characters I rock with. Miles. I would say Miles from Spider-Man.
Okay, I'll accept those answers. Those answers, good answers. I like that.
What about you? You can't even like put on
I'll
me.
I'll give you my 5. Let's see now. Joel from The Last of Us. Nathan Drake. I go Nathan Drake from Uncharted. My 3rd will be Commander Shepard, either male Shepard or femme Shepard. I will accept.
Oh man, Shepard's a good one. I should have thought of that.
My number 4, I'm gonna go Mario. I like Mario a lot. I think there's something to a character that's so versatile that Mario is. Mario can be in any game you want him to be in. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And my 5th, Solid Snake. Okay.
Dope. I never got too much into the Metal Gears, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I definitely love the Metal Gear series. It's pretty cool. All right. Question number 3. What is the dumbest thing you've done as a kid?
I was real boring. I was real boring. I think I was over my friend's house, and he had his Xbox 360 laying on the side, and it was before I had an Xbox. And I was like, that just looks awkward. So while the game was playing, I stood it up and just scratched his disc. And I still feel bad about that.
Yeah, that's bad.
But I didn't know. I didn't know. So I don't blame myself too much. But I would say I had a bunch of really rare like first edition like Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I was just trading them away and giving them away. I knew I didn't know what I had at the time. I would have a lot of money if I didn't just like wasn't so flippant with those cards.
Probably should have kept that Charizard.
Yeah. I know.
All right. Question number 4. Coke or Pepsi?
Wait, which one is Dr. Pepper? Is that I think
that's 7-Up, isn't it?
No, it's one of the two. I think it's Pepsi. Nah,
now I gotta look this up.
Dr. Pepper, it gotta be Pepsi. I think it's Pepsi.
Now I gotta look this up. See, you got me investigating because I love Dr. Pepper as well. Okay. I'm looking it up, folks.
I'll see if I can get faster after.
I'm on the Dr. Pepper Wikipedia. It's Pepsi.
Yep, Pepsi.
What the world? I don't know what it is now.
Wait,
I'm on the Wikipedia. It says
it's not a Pepsi product. It's a. So when you go to a restaurant, they ask you Coke or Pepsi, and I always say whichever one has Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
And they say normally they say Pepsi, but that might be wrong. I don't know.
Yes. It's manufactured by Coke and Pepsi.
That's so weird.
In Europe, in South Korea, Coke manufactures it. And in Canada and Oceania, Pepsi manufactures it. That's the manufactures it, which is weird.
Okay, I did not know that. That's super weird. Like,
I don't know.
I don't even know if that's legal. Okay, so because I really don't even like I'll drink it, but I don't really like Coke or Pepsi. It's like I like Dr. Pepper, I like Sprite, I like Vernus. Faygo. I pick Faygo.
I like the Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah, Faygo is Detroit based.
Okay. That's why they always drink it then. That makes sense to me now.
Yep, all the grocery stores, they carry mostly Faygo here.
Okay, I like that. Question number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Zombie apocalypse happened, Walking Dead style.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to take 5 things to go out in the world to survive. Anything you want, family and pets don't count. They automatically go with you unless you don't want them to go, then they can die for all I care. So what are the 5 things you're taking to go survive in this world?
First thing, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna stay in my room until I go. I'm gonna sit there and play video games until I lose battery, and then I'm gonna starve to death. That seems like a way better. Like going outside during the zombie apocalypse is just too much work. You got to survive. You got to do all these things. You'll never get to play video games and go to the movies again. It's not worth it. I had a good life. It was a good run. I'm just gonna like take a knee on this one. Yeah, let the survivors have all of that. And I don't trust people in the first place. But if I had to go outside, probably some books, some scissors. I got a couple survival books around here somewhere. I'll probably take those. And some extra clothes, pretty much. And that would be it. And just keep running until until I find wherever Joel and Ellie was at.
So your survival plan is to just stay in your room and die, essentially. Well, that's not bad.
Seems like a way better way to go out than the other options. Like if Rick from The Walking Dead, if he just stayed in that hospital room, I think that would have been a better way to go out than how he did.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not that bad. So, for those who don't know, tell them what you do and why you're awesome.
My name's Neil. I go by Ariel Knight online. I'm the creator and developer of a game called Ariel Knights Never Yield. It's what I call a narrative runner, where you play as this character named Wally, and you're running from a bunch of bad guys, trying to deliver a package that contains something that was stolen from you. And you discover the story as you play. But I call it a narrative runner because if you think of what a runner is, most of them don't have stories. They go on forever. This one has a beginning, middle, and end. Um, and it's supposed to be a really chill experience, some dope music, and it's on all the platforms that I can think of. And it's out now. We also have a demo on the Switch, so if you're interested, just go check it out.
Let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
Where did this concept come from to make up this narrative runner? Because I think it's a cool idea. And as a person who usually doesn't like runners, this game pulled me in because of the story.
Well, yeah, that was kind of the point, to take something that existed, and see how I can make it different. Because like me, I'm always like, I don't want to make the same thing. I don't want to like just copy and paste somebody else's game. I took the concept of a runner and just did like a bunch of small stuff that I liked. I like stories in games. I like shorter games. I like cutscenes. I like, the cool, action movie like feel to things, customization, different outfits, things like that. So I took all those things, really dope soundtrack, and I just kind of brought it into this genre that no one was really doing anything with, to see what I could do with it.
So let me ask you this, Ariel. What got you into video games in the first place to make you want to work on a project like this? Because I think the game is dope. The game is very stylish. It's very cool looking. I like it a lot. So what made you want to do this, and what got you into video games in general?
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I just, getting into games was always like kind of my plan. I didn't have any like other kind of plans. I was just like, hey, I just want to kind of make games. I was kind of forced into picking something when I came out of high school, and that's kind of it was like the only thing I enjoyed. Um, Making this game though, came out of frustration with not finding a place in the game industry, as just like searching for jobs. I kind of did everything you were supposed to do on paper, as far as, applying for jobs, getting better, making sure I went to all the right events and talking to the right people. And it wasn't my work that was ever the issue. It was stuff like, I didn't fit the studio's culture. I didn't live in the right place. They weren't going to like help me move, or like give me any kind of options from like to get to where I needed to be. So it just seemed like there was nothing I can do like to get into the game industry, no matter how good I was. So I was pretty much fed up with the game industry. I was about to give up. But before I did, I said I was going to just make one game just to prove that to myself that, I did have the capability of, being at that level, and to show what they were missing out on. So, I just kind of made this game for me, to prove a point. And it just like slowly evolved into, what it is now, and launched on all these consoles and got a lot of attention. And I just kind of been using the attention to promote other Black people in gaming, so that, no one ends up like how I ended up. To say that like there's a lot of other Black game developers out there making games, making dope experiences. They're out there. Like I'm getting like a little bit of the juice right now, but there's a bunch of other people who are way better than me doing this, and like they deserve some attention and some shine too.
Let me ask you this. I think you brought up an interesting topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you kind of answered the question I was going to ask you about this. How difficult it is being a Black person in just gaming in general, like trying to create games, trying to get into a company. I don't want to say any names in particular, but getting one of these major companies to work for them. What is that process like?
It's not blatant. Like people think when we like say these things, because I'm definitely not the only one out here saying this. But people think when we say these things that it's like super blatant, and someone just like sends you like email just being super racist, saying like, no, you can't be in the game industry. And that's not like really how it goes down. There are, standards that the game industry has, saying you have like, You go to events, you meet people, you network, and eventually you get an internship or something to get you a job, and then you grow through the ranks. But for some reason, like me specifically, I would go through all those phases, but I couldn't even get an internship after like 10 years of being in the game industry or being around the game industry, like working on tech stuff and like people knowing who I was. I couldn't even get an internship.
That's
And
crazy.
I would turn to all these other, people, and I would just hear really similar stories, and all these stories would come from people who look just like me and be from the places that I'm from. So it wasn't a coincidence. It was, it's things that add up over time, and that's the issue. And that's why, you can even tell after George Floyd died, like studio said, hey, we're going to do better. And like my reply to you're going to do better is like, what have you been doing, up until this point?
Yeah.
So you can't say they can't say they were doing everything right when they're also saying we're going to do way better. So they just kind of validated everything. So yeah, that's the core of the issue. I think there have been things that have been happening recently, this past year that have improved the situation. I've been seeing a lot more people who I follow get placement and get jobs and get more opportunities. But they just have to keep up the pressure in doing that. And gamers need to know who they're supporting. You see a lot of like these black side characters, and then go look at the teams who make them. It's like all white people, like
Yeah.
white men and women. It's not just like all white dudes. It's white men and women. So like white women ain't coming to our rescue. It's all of them. Not to say they're all have bad intent. It's all little things that add up. They hire their friends. They hire from where they know. They hire friends of friends, and then you end up having a stereotypical game developer that doesn't look like me.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I also want to bring to the fact that a lot of these characters who are African American in video games are played by white people.
Yep.
And I think that's a big problem in gaming in terms of we don't have the diversity we need to have. And we're very much lacking. Like, it's hard enough to get a black character that's not a stereotype in a video game in general. But then when you have the roles that you can give to a black voice actor, which there are plenty of them out there, you kind of choose not to. It's kind of weird and wild to me that they go that route. Like, I don't want to say names, but there are a few prominent black characters in video games that are not played by black people, and I've always found that weird and almost even off-putting, even if the roles played well. It's just like you couldn't really like find a black person to play the same role and add their flavor to it and our flavor and our culture to it.
Yeah, I mean that's like the black voices and actors and actresses are an aspect of it. I think that gets a little bit too much of the attention though, because they are awesome, and they deserve to be a part of those experiences. At the same time, they play such a small role in game development because
Yes.
we relate game development to movies justifiably, but we also have to know that they're completely different. Like more important than the actual voice actor is the person modeling the character. If you want the character to have that good hair, you want them to like look right and move right, you need a black animator, you need a black texture artist, a black modeler, someone, whoever's designing the system of the movement, you need a black person doing that. So in those four roles that I just mentioned, go throughout the development. So those are like 4 years of 2 to 4 years worth of jobs when a black actor or actress can come in for a couple weeks. So even though I fully support those roles being played by black people, I think it's not as it gets, it's not the issue. It's not the core of the issue. And those actors and actresses can go into other jobs and that doesn't involve gaming, but I'm more concerned with the game developers specifically. because we're the ones who are not going to be in front of the camera and who don't get talked about and who need to evolve and get higher promotions in the game industry, who can hire more of us. But that's not going to happen on the actor or actress like kind of level. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way.
No,
I'm just,
you mean it in a granular way, in terms of like, hey, we can hire these actors and actresses once we start getting these game developers who are African American and Black in our culture in these higher positions of power, which is not happening right now.
Yeah. Like hiring a Black actor or actress is like a band-aid on the problem. Like
Yes.
it looks good on the outset, but it actually doesn't do anything. And like that's more of like my issue. And I don't really like speak on it just because like I try not to be negative on like any kind of topics like that, just because being negative hurts more than like not than addressing it. So yeah, we just kind of got to see how that goes.
Yeah, I think, well, not to change topic, but I do want to discuss this a lot. I think this is an important conversation to have. But do you think that there's a converted effort to deter Black developers from creating their art and what they love?
No, I don't think there's an effort to deter it. I think, see, I try to think that people have good intentions, but they're just in the wrong places, right? Like it's really easy just to point at somebody and say, "Hey, you're racist." Like that. I used to do that a lot too, but it doesn't solve anything. We got to figure out what the actual issue is. Do they actually think that Black characters don't sell? Well, if that's the case, then we need to prove that wrong. If they think that no Black people want to actually be a part of game development, well, there's a bunch of evidence to prove that wrong, and we need to like shine a light on that so that like that's not an argument. So we need to disprove these arguments rather than kind of just point at stuff and say, hey, that's racist. Even though I not judging anybody who does do that, because I used to do that often too. It's just me trying to actually look deeper into the issues sometimes.
Yeah, to clarify even a little bit more, it doesn't necessarily have to be a inverted thing and something that's openly overted. It could be covert, like inadvertently, like, hey, we don't think this would sell.
Yeah.
In terms of that.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to, because there's like a lot of famous characters that, in the concept phase, like if you look into the history of like some of your favorite games, those characters started off as Black or, at least not white. And they changed over time. And, you could say for whatever reason, but, it comes down to the money at the end of the day, who they're marketing to, who they want to play the game, who they think will buy the game. So they find a way to say that that it wouldn't sell if the character was Black or not white. Look at Aloy. That's always been my main example. Like Aloy would have been the perfect candidate to be a Black character. It was the right time.
Yes.
A Black woman in that kind of role would have fitted perfectly, especially seeing the world how it was. But they didn't. They went this like what felt to me a really weird choice. Even though the people on that team seemed like really, open and welcoming, you can look at the rest of the world of the game, but that choice specifically for Aloy being white just always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And that's kind of like always like the example that I use for that. And it's not the singular example. A lot of, games do that kind of thing, but I see a change happening. I hope things are getting better, but it will truly get better once we hire more Black people.
Yeah, I agree. Let me ask you this. How do you think, if any, having a Black main protagonist in your game has affected your game, whether positive or negative?
It's a weird question. People like ask me stuff about my game, but my game is very, very specific. Seeing as how like is made by just me. It could have sold like no copies and I would have been fine with it as long as it proved the point I was trying to prove. But as far as marketing goes, I think it had a positive effect in the sense that Black people liked it. Black people was like, hey, that's dope. And that's like kind of the point. Like that's all I could ever ask for in that sense. But I can never know how well the game would have done if it was a white character or if I had a white antagonist or something like that. And I don't really care like how it would have done because it would have defeated purpose of what I was trying to do.
And to the credit of that game, your game is excellent on its own merit. I like the game. I don't like endless runner games like at all, but I play your game. But like, if your, I'll put it this way: if your game had a limited run version of it, where they, how they usually put like a switch cartridge, a physical cartridge, I would buy the limited run version of it because one, the cover for it looks so cool.
Thank you.
Two, I think it's just a unique concept for a game. I never liked endless runner games because I like games to have a beginning, middle, and end. I like the story version of it. But I like your game. I like that every time you lose, it kind of says yield or never give up. And it just keeps you going. It makes you want to keep going.
Yeah, I try to give people an out. Like that was the whole purpose of that whole screen was like, you don't have to sit here and play for 12 hours straight or anything like that. Like, try to beat this level. If you can beat it, cool. If not, then yeah, you come back some other time. It's not going anywhere.
So let me ask you this. Making this game, has it kind of reinvigorated you to make more games under your name, the Ariel Knight brand?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I always, wanted to keep making games. It was just like if I would have had the capability of doing so, I don't think I'll like go down the route of like doing the whole thing kind of by myself again. I think if I did it again, I would definitely seek some like type of additional help from like a lot of people from the start. But yeah, if I made another thing, it's definitely gonna be Ariel Knights, what have you.
Well, let me ask you this then. To touch on that, because you said you would seek help from people. What about you having like a little small community of Black video game creators and y'all come up with a project? That might be interesting.
See, the problem with that is like, having help is cool if you're doing stuff and just putting it out for free. But as soon as like money involved and publishers and all that stuff, it gets real dramatic real fast. And I don't like things to be complicated. I like stuff to be just like real simple, like 50-50, 30-30-30, cool. But like even now, with like my game, there's way too many cooks in the kitchen. Even though I made it like all like pretty much by myself. I had a lot of help from like my publisher and my homies like here in Detroit. But like I made like 95% of this game. And even with that, there's still, I feel, too many people who have a say with things.
Now you dropped me down another rabbit hole with this. Now, why is that? You don't have to get too much into it, but if you made a game 95% on your own, I feel like you should be able to make all the shots, and there shouldn't be not too many cooks in the kitchen. You know what I mean?
I thought so too. But there's considerations that have to be made. Like Dan did all the music, so he like just to be fair, like I could just be like, it's my game, I do what I want. But he made all the music, so I give him like a say in how the music's done. I ask him before I do any deals with vinyls and stuff like that. The publisher like helps me promote the game a lot. They get a say. This in they publisher contracts. I can't say anything specifically about mine, but if you look them up, you'll see like what kind of cuts they get and how much say they have and what happens. It's still my IP, but they still. I can't go out here and just say, hey, tomorrow the game's coming out on this platform or that platform without, at least talking to them. And then the platforms themselves, like my game was like super multi-platform. It came out on everything.
Yes.
So, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, they all get a cut of the game whenever there's a sale made. So, that's what kind of what I mean with like too many cooks. Like no matter like what you do, if you go out there and make a game, if you want it to be on a platform, somebody else is going to get a cut.
Yeah.
It's not just all going to you.
I'm going to say something, and this is going to sound weird coming from me as a person who's mainly PlayStation gamer. But I think your game will be a good game to have on Game Pass.
That ain't up to me. That's up to Xbox.
Yeah, I
Xbox
think
hits
that.
people up and says, "Hey, do you want your game to be on Game Pass?"
Yeah,
And they say yes or no. I mean, they might hit me up one day eventually, but there's a lot of games coming out. I think there's like too many games coming out sometimes. So you don't really get the visibility that you should sometimes, and it's a lot of things, a lot of factors, but we kind of see how it goes.
yeah, I
But
think.
I'm the first one to tell everybody as soon as like something like that happens. I'll be on Twitter being like, "Oh snap! Look what happened."
I think your game worked perfectly on Game Pass because people can just hop into it and play it, enjoy it, love it, and spread the word. Because your game is a game that I think works when people spread the word about it. Like when I heard you on Fowler's podcast talking about it, I'm like, hold up, there's a black video game creator I haven't heard about making a game, and I looked up the game like, this game looks freaking cool. It's stylish.
Thanks,
it looks fun. And then I think I found out, this is a endless runner. I said, you know what? I'm going to try it anyway. I bought it the first day it came out. I played like, this is actually really good.
Well, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. I think that is really cool that you were able to put something out that cool and dope by yourself. But I think it would also be cool if it got on the platform like I said, like Xbox Game Pass or even PlayStation Plus or something like that. This would be a cool game to give out to people to get in many hands as possible.
I don't know about PlayStation Plus. I love PlayStation too, but every month when that like list gets announced, people just hate it. No matter what's on that list, like they can have the newest games on that list, and it just get all the smoke. And
see, this is the thing.
I don't need that drama.
Think that's always the case. I know what I think it is. I think
that's
what happens with
case every single time. That's always the case.
I think what happens is people compare it to Game Pass, which is not a fair comparison because they're two different types of services. And usually, like I love PlayStation Plus in terms of when they give you games that usually I get games like that I never would play or even try. Like for example, I wouldn't try Bug Snacks or it was someone else they came with Destruction All Stars. I think it was the car game.
Mm-hmm.
I would not normally buy that game, but since it's on PlayStation Plus, I would give it a chance.
See, I'd rather be on that PlayStation Instant Games collection thing.
Okay. I know you're talking about.
I'd rather be on that because it seems like there would be less smoke. Be like, it's just, added to it. The game is, small enough to kind of slide under the radar without people getting all, gamery about it. So
yes, I agree. And also they have to give you a bag.
Yeah, they would have to give me a bag.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to get you a bag, Ariel. Let's get Ariel not a bag, folks.
hey, I mean, I'm down for whatever. I don't care what nobody say. But I try to avoid the smoke if I can.
Let me ask you a question. What games are you playing now yourself?
I just started Like a Dragon. Yakuza Like a Dragon. I really like that game. It's really chill.
I can't get into it yet. I've been trying it, but that's because I played all the Yakuza games before that.
Oh, so the new mechanic is a little
it's throwing me off a little bit.
I would say play Judgment first.
I have Judgment.
You should play Judgment. And I like Judgment a lot. It's a little bit too long, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I've been on a gaming streak. I beat like 3 games in the past week. So I'm trying to get some stuff knocked out the way before this fall season hit.
Oh yeah, I used to be able to knock games out in like a weekend, but I feel like I'm old now, and I just sit there and like I just take my time, and then I be texting, like pausing the game, just texting, and just scrolling through Twitter for like an hour, and then like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be playing this game. I can't just like burn through it, and I guess it's on me. I keep picking like 100-hour games. But I've been getting out of that habit. I just bought like just a bunch of indie games. I took like $100 and I was like, how many indie games can I buy for $100? And I got like 30.
That's cool.
So between like playing Like a Dragon, I've been playing what was it? John Wick Hex.
Yeah, that's correct.
Man, it was so many. I can't even remember the name of some of these games. What was the other one? I played Gridstone, After Party. It was something else I just started. It was this cute little game with this like little duck that runs around and like shoots eggs at people. It was like PlayStation for like $2. I was like, it's amazing. Like such a good game for $2 that no one played.
I think that's cool that we have games coming out like that. In terms of you have like the indies, indie development is live and well and cool because you can get almost any type of game you want to get on any of these consoles, whether it's a game like yours, whether it's a game where you're just a duck shooting eggs at people, whether it's a clone of Gallagher. I like it, man.
Yeah, and just play Pac-Man. Pac-Man is on like PlayStation Store for like $2. I was like, man, if y'all know how many quarters I wasted on Pac-Man when I was a kid, like $2 is like a deal.
Yeah, I agree. So let me ask you this, Ariel. Now that you release, what response have you think you received from the game so far from other developers and creators? Have they reached out to you and said, "Yo, this is a dope game"?
Oh yeah, other developers, they're the best to talk to because they know the struggle. They can play the game and see the difficulties and like the stuff that I was trying to do and why the game took so long to make. Um Random people who like haven't been like following the game or don't know what it is, if they just like saw a trailer and then hopped on Twitter with a hot take or whatever, I don't think they really get it. But generally people just love the music and like are willing to give it a shot because of the music, and then that leads them into kind of really understanding what the game is. And that's one of the reasons we put out the demo, was so people can like get it, because it's kind of hard to get if you don't play it. It doesn't translate well if you don't like feel it, you know.
Yeah, I agree, but it's one of those games you got to have in your hand to play, to get the feel for it, get the rhythm of it. I guess is the best way to say it. Where you got to get the jumps right, the slides right, and once you get in that groove and get into the funk of it, man, it's a blast.
Thanks, man. I think my biggest like issue I've had so far is like I'm fine with critiques. Like I think people misconstrue like replying to a critique as like being negative, but there is something to be said about people who don't actually play something or get something wrong in their review and wanting and like, so for example, there was one review that came out that was a really low score, which is fine. But in like the main reason for the low score was that they said that you have to beat the entire game before you can change the difficulty setting, which isn't true. Like you play level 1, and after level 1, which is like basically a tutorial, you unlock the other difficulties. You just go back to the menu. You don't ever have to play it on normal again. You can play it on super insane if you want. So that negated like that review score, like because they got it wrong. They just didn't see the settings, which is like, I guess on me for not making it more clear. But like, at what point is it my fault, and what point is it this reviewer's fault for not looking in depth for that? Because it's really clear, actually, like
I
when
will
you
say
can do
this. I will say this. I think it's the reviewer's fault, not to bash them, but I also think that as a person who's reviewed a few games in my day, I think people get so wound up in trying to get the review out before the deadline or before like the game comes out, instead of getting the review out and accurate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely agree. But the thing that I don't agree with, like with the current state of gaming, is that there's a standard where game developers aren't really allowed to say anything, and if they do say anything, it's in bad taste.
Yes.
Or is seen as in bad taste. But if you're willing to put your opinion out there for other people to see, then like if you're giving something a critique, then you need to be open to getting a critique back from the person you're critiquing. Like that's always been my thing. Like if you get something wrong, if I do something wrong in the game, you get to critique it. If you do something wrong in the review, I should be able to say something about it.
I agree.
Like, so that's my core issue. And like if I say anything, then I'm just seen as like being petty. If I don't say anything, I just kind of let this false information be out there. So
I think you should be able to correct people on things like that, especially when it's your game and it's your project, something you worked on for a long period of time, and you kind of want people to give it a fair shot. And when people put out falsehoods, That's caused people not to give it a fair shot. So it's only fair that you have the ability and the right to correct these situations.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I'm just saying. I also understand that they're on like a timeline and budget and stuff like that. They have to get the review out, but also my game's only like an hour and a half to 2 hours. So if you can't get it right with my game, then imagine how like little effort is being put into other games. It just opens up like a can of worms of larger issues. Saying if you're missing stuff out of this review, my game's it's pretty simple. So like it just raised a lot of flags to me, and like I had some concerns about those processes. And I think we need to get rid of review scores in general, even if is high reviews. Even the negative reviews was like, hey, the game's good, it just has like this issue or that issue, but people don't read, they just go straight down to the number.
Yeah, that's a common thing because people they want to see the 10 out of 10. Mm-hmm. People always want to see the 10 out of 10 or the 1 to 2. People don't like the 5s because people think 5 is mediocre. They don't want to check out that. They always want to look for that. Either it's the best game ever or the game is just a complete piece of crap. Which is a shame because when you look at the scores, you don't really get to read what the game is about. Because there are some games that are 9s and 10s that I just do not like because they're not my type of game.
Oh, yeah. I got a bunch of like people misconstrue like game developer meaning that we just like everything. There's a bunch of stuff that like just ain't for me. It's like not meant for me. And I'm like those games like get 9s and 10s a lot. And, most of them I do like, but some of them just ain't for me. But there's other games that get like 4s and 5s. I'm like, what are you thinking? This game is amazing.
Yeah,
and I sit there and enjoy it, but like that 4 and 5 will kill the game.
Yeah, but one of my favorite games I played it's been a while back now. Alpha Protocol.
You ever heard that game? I was watching a documentary on Alpha Protocol. I remember that came out. It came out like as soon as I like graduated from high school, I think. It was really dope.
Yeah, I love that game, but it didn't review well.
Nope.
I absolutely loved that game. It was like a spy version of Mass Effect.
Yep. That's kind of what I took it as too.
And I loved it, but people didn't get it. So we didn't get any more. Mm-hmm. And I think those review scores killed us from getting any more of it. So I think I get what you're saying. It's very important. Review scores suck because if you just go by the score, people don't get the full story of what the game is and your work that you put into the game. And if you're in a bigger company, that can hinder you from getting sequels. And if you're an independent creator like yourself, that can really hurt your bottom line. Because people just won't check out your game because some people live and die by those review scores.
Yep. And it really depends on like I think it needs to like for giant companies like IGN or Kotaku or what have you, I think they need to have multiple people reviewing like even like especially the bigger titles. But if they can, the smaller titles as well. Because everything ain't for everybody. Like something that you might love might not be my thing. Like a lot of people love what's the Kojima game that came out recently?
Death Stranding.
Yeah, a lot of people love Death Stranding. A lot of people don't like Death Stranding. Death Stranding just ain't my thing. I gave it a shot. I played it for like a bunch of hours and I wasn't feeling it. Nothing against the game or the people who worked on it. It's just that if that type of game ain't my thing in general, why would I review it?
Yeah.
So you should have somebody who likes those types of games. Like I would never review a sports game because sports games ain't my thing. But if I did review a sports game, I would want somebody else to review this sports game as well. Somebody who does enjoy those types of games.
I think you nailed it with the Death Stranding thing. There's some games people just don't get. Like I'll give you a perfect example. Breath of the Wild. I'm not a Breath of the Wild fan. Mm. I like more of a top-down Zelda games and things like that. And but people love Breath of the Wild. But and I've always feel like, if you like it, it's for you. There's nothing wrong with that. There's certain games made for certain people, and it's okay not to like a game.
Yep. I agree.
So, what are your plans for the future, Neil?
I don't know. Eat some pizza, finish up like a dragon, see what happens. But as far as like game development, I got a couple prototypes I've been working on. Been asking people what they, would like to see if I did do something more with Never Yield. I think I'll do something with it eventually. I'm not really rushing or anything like that. But I think it'll be dope. I want to see if I can work with some more of my friends, get somebody to actually fund a sequel, and just like kind of see. Nah, I don't do. I did a Kickstarter once. It is not for me.
You have like the name pool now, man. You might can pull it off now.
I just don't like the concept of Kickstarter.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like I ain't got no problem with other people who do it. For me personally, I don't like selling something to somebody without it being done,
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
But if other people are brave enough to do that, that's cool. It's just me personally, like how I think about it. I change my mind on whims, so I can't like make promises like 2 years before the game is done about what I'm going to do, because I don't even know what I'm going to do.
Creator. That is a true creator.
When y'all play it, that's kind of when I found out what the game was.
Final question. Well, not really the final question, but it's one of the final questions.
Mm-hmm.
Since this game has come out, has any developer been knocking on your door saying, "Hey, maybe we can get this guy shot"? Has this changed anything, or
yeah. Before
the
game came out, there was like I put out a trailer. Right after the Nintendo thing, a bunch of people hit me up, and I really wanted to be real petty because it was places that I applied to before, but I was like, I'm good. I ended up partnering with Unity, which was where I was making the game in. They reached out a couple of times to ask for feedback on the engine, and throughout some more conversations, they were looking for some help with some things. So I'm helping them out with a bunch of cool stuff that I can't talk about, but yeah, like people have been like hitting me up a lot more. But also, the George Floyd thing happened, so I take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I think that fortunately has opened up a lot of people's eyes to the things that we deal with. Unfortunately, it's kind of made people feel not genuine about it. So it makes you leery of that.
It's definitely a catch-22. Like,
yeah.
And I like it's super weird because like right after like it happened, you saw like so many Black creators who've been around for God knows how long. Like I've been around for 10 years, but like after that incident happened and all the drama that followed it, and we randomly started getting promoted. Like people started paying attention to us like we were brand new. And that it was just so weird, like because I did not want to promote myself during that time either. I was like, it seems like I'm taking advantage of the situation, which I don't know.
I will say this about that time, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this on the podcast before. That around that time period of time, that has probably been the most I've ever been a guest on other people's podcasts besides my own. I've probably did like maybe 20, 30 interviews on other people's podcasts around that time, just off the strength of it. That and it's crazy to think that, but yeah,
because like they realized it was like, oh, we need to like invite Black people on and talk to Black people about how they feel about things, but we don't have any Black people we ever had on the show before. And then they realized that they got to start reaching out to people. And even me, I did a bunch of like interviews and podcasts, and they were upfront about it, that they had, issues about, their internal stuff and they wanted to do better. And I'm glad we could have that conversation, but I'm just sad that like it had to come from something that was so messed up.
Yeah, I agree.
Why couldn't it be? It's never anything good. It's nothing ever like this like grows from anything good. Like my game coming out and then everybody getting promoted. That's kind of what I wish would have happened, but now I went the other route.
Eventually, one day we'll get something like that, a celebration, as opposed to us having a tragedy and people gathered around for the tragedy.
Yep.
This is a heck of a way to end the
episode. Yep. We got super depressing and dark at the end of that, but Hey, that's kind of the situation. So it fits.
Man, it's been a blast talking to you, brother. It's been fun.
Thanks for messaging me and like inviting me to your show. I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you all for listening to me ramble about random things so long. It's been like 45 minutes and y'all been rocking with us. So like, thank you for taking the time. I'm on Twitter if you want to hear me ramble some more, at Ariel_night. You can check out the game on all platforms that you could think of, really. It's called Ariel Nights Never Yield, or you can just type in Never Yield. I'm sure it pop up. But yeah.
Go buy this brother's game. It is good. It is fun. Support Black creators. We want this man making more stuff for us to enjoy and to love. Definitely do that.
Thanks so much, man.
No problem, brother. And as always, Delvin Cox Experience, we are out. Peace.